Welcome to Sounds Like Spirit with Kim Mehlhopt. Sound advice for spiritual souls, for all your development and spiritual chat.
Welcome one, welcome all. How are we with this fine, fine morning? I know for half of you it's a fine, fine evening, but here in good old Aotearoa, New Zealand, it is 10 a.m. Wednesday, just after brekkie. We've just had a wee bit of a technical problem with my Skype. Good on me, but it seems to have been fixed. Thank you to all of those in the chat room, the lovely Evergreen, Tickle me, of course. Can you all hear me okay? I just want to make sure that we're good. The producer says we're good to go, and I want to make sure that we are indeed good to go. Quick drink of agua. Got to get into it. All right. How are we doing today, guys? We're ready for a good day. It's raining here, as it has been all week. But I will start, as I always do, with our card for the day to see how we are supposed to approach today. Last week, if I remember rightly, we got Clear the Path, and it got us talking on a massive bent about decluttering things in our life, clearing the path, making space for some new things. Now, just to give you a practical example of this, I don't know if I mentioned it last week or not, but I took my car in for repairs in November for 3 days worth of repairs. And I still don't have it back. But I decided that perhaps parking the loan car, the car that I've been given on loan in the driveway, was a bad idea, because maybe energetically my car felt that there was no room for it. So I started parking the loan car out on the street. And I'm pleased to report that on Tuesday last week, they rang me and said my car was ready. Unfortunately, we are in the middle of arguing about the bill, which they decided to add an extra $2,000 onto. So they still have my car. But the fact is, energetically, I made space. I took the loan car out of the driveway. And after 4 months of getting nowhere, my car finally, amazingly, in the space of one day, apparently, got fixed. So, yeah, do clear the path. So the cards I'm using are the Sonia Choquette, Trust Your Vibes. You always call on the divine white light of protection, the universe, universal energy, God, goddess, whatever it is that works for you. Ask for protection. I'm a big fan of Archangel Michael. You know, me and Mike, we're like that. And always ask for the highest good of all. So whenever you're dealing cards or having anything to do with any psychic tools at all, just make sure that you have done your protections and you've called for help. Always knock the cards first, of course, to clear any energy from any readings that have been done previously. I'm not one of these that believes only one person may touch your cards. Mind you, as I said last week, I teach, so I'd be a bit of a useless teacher if my students couldn't use the tools. So absolutely, my cards are available for anyone. But in this particular instance, we're drawing a card for all of us out here in Radio Land, and including me, of course, to see how we need to approach this day. And one's not dropping out at me, so we'll be choosing today. That happens periodically. There it is. Be flexible is the card that's come out today. Be flexible. So once again, from the Trust Your Vibes pack, because it's almost my favorite, one of my favorites for sure. Okay, be flexible. The main reason your guides and angels are with you is to influence you to make the best possible choices for your life. Yet even as they offer help, it's up to you to accept and follow your vibes before they can do you any good. Allow yourself to be influenced by your guides by being more flexible in body, mind, and spirit. This means get out of your rut, change your plans, take an occasional risk, trust the moment, and be willing to go with the flow if new inspiration encourages you to do so. Do not be a card-carrying member of the woulda, coulda, shoulda club of lost opportunity and psychic regret. If you feel a vibe, be courageous enough to act on it. 5 sensory people are too rigid to see and accept the assistance of higher forces, so they miss their moments and live in frustration. Don't live like this. Rather than blindly sticking with the plan, your guides encourage you to ease up, stretch and bend your mind, and try to do things in a new way. Don't resist the universe as it strives to help you. Open up to it. Okay. 5 sensory people are too rigid to see and accept the assistance of higher forces. I can actually count myself among those with a couple of instances. I give you a lot of private information. I'm sorry if that's too much for you, but just as of relevance to show you how this works and to show that everybody's human. Nobody's got any special amazing insight into any wonderful things. But here we go with a bit more about my personal life. I was out on the street one day, so I'm going to make a short story very long, but here we go. I was out on the street one day, and there was a guy pulled up, and he in a truck with a couple of young guys, and he walked up and down the driveway of the guy next to me, and he came over to talk to me as I was saying goodbye to a friend at her car outside my house, and he said, "Did I know the guy next door? Is he home? This, that, and the other." I thought, "What are you wanting?" And he goes, "Oh, I was here to do a delivery of wood, but he doesn't appear to be home." And he had the name and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, no, he's not home at the moment, but he should be later on in the day. And I said, he goes, "You don't want any wood, do you?" I said, "Actually, yes, I do." And so I made a deal with him for 2 loads of wood, which I think is a total of about 6 cubic meters or something like that. Anyway, the guy promised me he was going to deliver it in about 2 days. And 2 days later, the first load in 2 days. 2 days later, the only money I had on me was $60, and I gave it to him and said, "This is the deposit." He said, "That's great. I'll drop the rest off tomorrow. Could you leave the money out for me?" And I thought, well, I don't want to put it out overnight. So anyway, I got it checked and counted by my lovely daughter, and I put it in an envelope the next day before I left for my appointment, and I left it out. And he knew where the wood was going, and he rang that day and he said, "Oh, I can't deliver that wood now," because he was doing something for another friend of mine who had also was doing some wood for. And anyway, so I took it in that night because I didn't want to leave money out, and it's not something I would normally do anyway, but I thought, he's dropped the first load off. And he's only got $60 so far. So, I'll be fair. I'll leave the rest of it out there. As I was putting it out the next day, because he rang me back and he said, "Is that money still out there?" And I said, "No, but it will be if you're delivering today." He said, "Yes, I am." So when I went to my appointment that morning, I left the money out. And just as I was putting it in its hiding place, I thought, "Oh, I don't know." And that's all I thought. "Oh, this doesn't seem like a good idea." And that was all I had. All right. But what did Kim do? Kim left the money there anyway. Anyway, what happened after that was I got home that night and there was no wood. So I thought, oh, well, I better check the money. And there was no money there. He sent me a text when I checked my phone and he said, "I've picked up the money." He said, "But I will drop the wood off on Friday." Well, that didn't happen. And I'm here to tell you that that day that the wood was supposed to be delivered initially was the 15th of January. So we are now the 29th of March. So it has been, let me do a quick count up, about 10 weeks. It's been 2.5 months and I still don't have the wood. But the point is, I wasn't being my 6th sensory self, was I? As I went to slip that money into its hiding place, I thought, this doesn't seem like a good idea. And then I argued with myself. "Oh, don't be so ridiculous, Kim. You did it yesterday and there was no problem. The money was still there. Blah, blah, blah." You argue with yourself, right? So if you're ever sure or not sure whether this information has come from spirit or if it's just come from your physical self, ask if you are arguing with yourself. If you are arguing with yourself, that's ego, okay? That's physical. But if a thought comes unbidden and there is no arguments following it, then it is from spirit, your higher self, your family members, in spirit, your guides, whoever you have around you and you call on, because they don't come through with an argument, okay? They come through with an idea. You come up with the argument 2 seconds later. So if it comes through without an argument in the sentence, then the information is from spirit. So start trusting those vibes, and this is what I mean by being flexible. My plan was to leave the money out under that crate in its wee hidey hole. So that was the plan. But then I got a message. The message was, "I don't think this is a good idea." Okay. So I got the message that it wasn't a good idea. I shouldn't have argued with myself on that. And I should have just taken the money back in. Okay. But I didn't. How many of you can think of examples within your own life, either recently or not, where you've done the same thing? You've had an idea and thought, "Oh, I don't know about this." I thought this was a bit of a bad idea. And then you went ahead and did it anyway, to your detriment, right? To your detriment. Okay, so if anybody's got any stories they want to throw at me in the chat room, I know it's early. There's only a few of us in there so far, but lovely guys in the chat room, if you've got anything you want to tell me about that. So there's my embarrassing story. Hi, my name's Kim. I'm a psychic medium, and apparently I can't follow the instructions very clearly. So, but I'm just saying, okay, it happens to everybody. People seem to think that psychics or mediums or people that work in these healing fields get all this information and that their life's a breeze and that it makes life so much easier. Well, it probably would if we paid attention all day, every day. But like everyone else, we don't. So I'm sorry. We're as fallible as everybody else. Did that disappoint you? I hope not too much. I hope not too much. So the card for today is be flexible. And I tell this story quite often, so if you've heard it, I apologize, but you might have 20 things to do in a day, and you might think, well, I can put 19 of them aside because one of them is important, one of them is urgent, one of them has been put off for far too long. So you decide, right, come hell or high water, this is the one thing you are doing today. Maybe it's, I don't know, go and deal with a lawyer about an account, or go and visit, I don't know, somebody you've got something going on with, I don't know. But you've got this one thing that you really, really want to do above all others. So you set off to do that. And then this has happened to me, by the way, true story, your key breaks off in the lock. Shit. So you go and find a pair of tweezers to get the half broken key out of the lock. And you go and find your spare key. And you use that. You add it to your key ring. You carry on with your day. You get into the car. And the car won't start. And you go, oh, for goodness sake. So you sit there for a couple of minutes thinking, what am I going to do? And you run through in your mind how many options you have for getting to this place without using your vehicle. And while you're doing this, you try your car a couple of more times. And eventually it works. There's nothing wrong with your car, right? There's nothing wrong with your car. There's nothing wrong with your key either, probably. It wasn't weakening or any of those things. Your car doesn't need any mechanical work. It just happened because Spirit are trying to get you a message. So anyway, you pull away and head off to this place that you have to go, this one thing out of 20 that you must do today, and you realize you've done 19 or 20 Ks worth of driving on empty. Oops. So you need to get to a petrol station. So you get to a petrol station. You're starting to panic now because you're pushing it for being on time for this thing that you were wanting to do. So absolutely, that's what you work on. So the thing is, how many messages have we already missed? You know, we had a lot of things to do that day, and we decided on not doing all of them, but just doing one, to the detriment of everything else. We got our key stuck in the lock, and that held us up. Our car didn't want to go. That held us up. We get in our car, and we're really low on petrol. We have to stop at the service station, and you get there, and there's a queue, and that holds you up. So the point I'm making is you get this information, okay? We've been given this information. They're asking you to be flexible with it. You know, somebody might ring you and say, first fine day in ages, let's go for a walk along the beach. And you go, I don't know. And you give in the end and go, well, I suppose so. But you go with a bad attitude. You don't actually achieve much. If you go, well, obviously, what I was planning to do is not what I'm going to be doing today. So what have Spirit got in store for me? You know, and when you go to this beach with a friend, you might clear your head and have a lovely chat with a friend. Well, there's 2 pluses already. And you're getting a bit of time off, which you hadn't sort of planned on doing. As you're heading back to the car at the beach, you run into a friend that you've been meaning to catch up with for a while and hadn't seen. And on the way home, you passed a post office and you had your banking in your handbag. So you asked your friend, could they just pull over and you'll stop and get that done? And anyway, by the time you get home, you may well have discovered that you've done 19 of those 20 things, not the one you set out to do, but 19 of the 20. And that one doesn't seem like quite the pressure it did when the other 19 things sitting behind it have been achieved. So it's not just about changing your mind, it's about changing your attitude as well. If your plans are changed for you by Spirit, in this particular example that I used about me, it was a good thing. They wanted me to slow down for a day and they gave me other things, helped me to achieve other things. So it's not the bad thing that you expected it to be. But had I not listened, I possibly would have got that one thing done, but I'd have had a pretty shitty day. And the way it worked out, I had a good day and I achieved a whole heap of things. Now, we were talking about not listening. Oh, Evergreen's got, my daughter leaves me waiting an extra hour every time I take her over to visit with a particular group of friends. I get angry each time. She apologizes each time and I give her another chance. And she does the same thing. The joys of parenting. Well, what's the message there for you, Evergreen? What's the message? If you haven't picked it up yet, the message is either she needs to sort her own transport out, or you need to organize things to do in the area in which you go, or something you can do in the car. Like quite often, if I have to wait for somebody, I'll pull out my phone. And that's when I'll do some of my work online on Facebook. I'll put up a special, I'll channel my thought for the day, I'll do whatever. So it's about more efficient time management, or finding a friend of yours that's nearby that you can go and visit, or something you can do, a nice coffee in a cafe in the area that you've dropped your daughter off at, something like that. But the message is actually that probably she needs to be more responsible for herself. So excuse me, what I want to say, Evergreen, is if you don't have a problem with your shoulders yet, you're going to get one, because it sounds like you need to take a little less responsibility for your daughter and a little more for how you spend your time. Welcome the lovely Janet in the chat room. Okay, so thank you so much. Yeah, I had a few technical difficulties at the beginning, and it was my fault. I signed out of Skype a couple of days ago to try and update and fix something, and it's sometimes quite a drama getting back in, and we do the show through Skype, so it does take me a bit of sorting, but yes, we're obviously back in. So thank you all so much for your company so far this morning. We've done a quick card pull from the Sonia Choquette Trust Your Vibes pack, and they're telling us to be flexible. We've had a story about how much of an idiot I am sometimes when it comes to not following the signs. But I like to make all this real to you so that you can see that it's not just you that doesn't act on these things. But I have got a friend who acts on this stuff all the time. The minute she gets the slightest inclination that she's doing the wrong thing, or she's in the wrong place, or something would be a better idea, she immediately changes plans and goes and does it. And her life is from the outside anyway, flows so much more smoothly. And it's like we just all need to get a wee bit of that on board. So the card for today was be flexible. Now, obviously, there's a small yes, Evergreen's come through with the messages, bloody say no. That's right. And, that's right. Yes, you're right. What I mentioned before, Evergreen, was if you don't deal with this issue and you're taking on responsibilities that are no longer yours to be responsible for, they will show up in your physical body, and the likely area for this to show up is shoulders, because when people talk about shouldering the responsibility, that's exactly what they mean. So a lot of these phrases we've been using for years actually come from energetic practicalities. We've just forgotten about them over time. We've forgotten what these things mean and how it comes about. But the problem is you will find this will be your left shoulder because it's to do with your daughter. You will probably already find that it's slightly lower when you try and stand straight than your right. And that is to do with the fact that you take a lot of responsibility for your daughter. So I'm guessing because she asks you that it's not something that you have to do, which means it's time to hand over the responsibility of that to her. All right, so she either needs to find an alternate mode of transport or get her own license or her own car or whatever option. That's not even up to you to suggest that, funnily enough, because that is also taking responsibility for her when you need to get her to start taking responsibility for herself. So you might want to have a chat to her prior to that and say, or next time she asks you, say, this is the last time I'll be doing this, you need to organize something else. And that gives them time to sort themselves out. But you'll be surprised how practical and capable people are when you give them a chance to get off their backside and do a few little things for themselves. Speaking of help, I just quickly, while we were talking, drew another card because I just felt there was another one that needed to fall into my hands this morning. And this is the other side of exactly what we've been talking about. So what we were talking about was be flexible. And when those signs come through, like when I was putting that money up for the woodman, and I had that thought, this doesn't seem like a good idea. That was a message from my guides. Okay, it didn't come through with any arguments, it just came through with a message. Arguments are something you put on board afterwards. So if you find yourself arguing, just breathe for a second, in through your nose, out through your mouth, reconnect, stop arguing and think about the original message you received, that original thought. Okay, I should never have left that money out there that day. Now we're talking about police and small claims court and community law and all sorts of things. So I should have listened. So it can make life very difficult for ourselves. So this second card I've pulled is exactly the other half of this equation. The card that I pulled out was Ask Your Spirit Helpers. Okay, this is a time to call on your helper guides and those higher beings on the other side who are masterful in addressing the specific challenges you face right now. They're ready, willing, and able to gently help you achieve your goals. So don't hesitate to ask for help. Open up to their influence when you're stuck by doing something completely unrelated to the challenge at hand, such as going for a short walk or relaxing with a cup of tea. If you want to contact a specific helper guide, you can do that as well. They can be people known only to you, such as your father or your grandfather, or known to all as public figures or famous people. Like you could call on Albert Einstein, for example. I know, right? How awesome is that? You can also ask your deceased grandmother, known for her apple pies, to help you prepare dinner for your boss or a new love interest. And don't be shy to ask for the very best in every area. Your helper guides love to help, and they will. So this is exactly the other half of the equation from the Be Flexible card is the Ask Your Helpers card. And that's no accident that came out today. So you can ask your guides to help with things that you want. And where you go to ask for that help depends on how big the challenge. If you're just struggling to make a recipe, then by all means, call on your grandmother or your great aunt or whatever. If you're dealing with a legal issue, you might want your father or your grandfather or whoever was an accountant or did some legal work when they were in this world. Failing that, you can call on past life experience because you've probably got some of it relating to this field. You could call on, if you know anyone famous who's passed that's in this field that you're after, you could call on them. So, yeah, don't muck around. Go straight to people who you know can get the job done. And it's, sorry, just having a wee giggle here in the chat room. Evergreen's come through with, they've had neck, shoulder, middle of back issues for weeks. Well, I think we've answered your question there, Evergreen, yeah? And I brought that up randomly, but there's no such thing as random as we know. No such thing as a coincidence. So just saying, my darling, that if you want to get rid of the troubles with your shoulders, which is radiating up your neck and down your back, then you need to let your daughter take responsibility for herself. It may be more than her. There may be other people in your life that you're taking too much responsibility for. That's what came through straight away to me when we were chatting in the chat room. So, yeah, so you know how to fix it. Just quickly while we're here, a show of hands for, I love doing that. A show of hands for all of those who self-heal at night. Anybody in the chat room coming through with that? Anybody here self-heal at night? I'll give you a second to answer. We may need to have a wee chat about that. And can somebody remind me, because I'm good like that, did I talk about Reiki last week, the ins and outs of Reiki?
SOCRadio.
If anybody here was here last week that can remind me, that would be fantastic. We've only got a few minutes till break time, so I will just expand a wee bit on asking your spirit helpers. Now, not everybody is okay, Tickle does. Not everybody is connected to their higher self as they could be, and not everybody gets messages directly through their clear senses. So you may not see, hear, feel, or know an answer immediately when you ask. So the most obvious way to deal with things, particularly when you've got a dilemma, is asking for a sign. Okay, because so many people say, oh, I don't get any signs. I'm like, you're kidding, right? Everybody gets signs all day, every day. And when I explain how they arrive, everybody ends up putting their hand up and going, oh, yeah, I get that. But we don't act on it. But it can be a bit confusing when you're coming from this side of things. So put out what you want from this side of things. So if you've got a question that you need answered, then you need to come straight in with what exactly you want to see. So you ask a question. I would like to go to Egypt this year. Let's say that. I would like to go to Egypt this year. If the answer is yes, please show me a Pyramid seems appropriate. Okay. Please show me a pyramid. I would like to go to Egypt this year. If the answer is yes, please show me a pyramid. Okay. In the next 24 hours, let's not muck around. I want an answer and I want it now. But I'll give them time to line that up. Okay. So you put your whatever it is that you want to do to Spirit, and you just ask for the sign that you want to see and when you want to see it by. Because that way you're not wondering if you see a butterfly, was that the sign? Was that my sign? Or was that just an accident? There's no such thing as coincidence. If Spirit represents himself to you as a feather or a butterfly or a particular set of numbers, then that's how they represent to you. But a lot of people doubt that. So let's get specific, shall we, people? So I would like to go to Egypt this year. If the answer is yes, please show me a pyramid. Okay, so I live in Central City, Christchurch, so the likelihood of seeing a pyramid around here is small to non-existent. But understand that once you've asked, it could be anywhere. You have to give up the how, okay? The how of it is not up to you. The what of it is up to you. And you've just said what, okay? You've said a pyramid. And you've even stated when, within the next 24 hours. So you might see it as a headline in a newspaper, printed somewhere, the word pyramid. You might see a pyramid on somebody's picture on Facebook while you're trolling through doing whatever it is you do. You might be sitting at a cafe and hear people at the table next to you talking about the pyramids of Giza or something like that. You've got to give up how it comes to you. And the reason I say that is because I asked once for an elephant, and I got an ass kicking. I actually got elephant in 3 different forms. I saw 3 elephants on the television on a documentary, plus I saw the word, plus I saw the numbers that I associated with it. But having said that, one day I had asked for that and I got it on a license plate, 2 license plates. The first one said Alley and the second one said Phantom. So there's my elephant, okay? So it's no accident that those things have appeared in front of your face when you've asked to see them. So please don't doubt them when you finally get them. If you asked for the sign and you get it, put up and shut up, people. You've got it, all right? Don't doubt it. Go forward with whatever it is you wanted to do. People quite often say to me, if I saw it within, say, 48 hours or 72 hours, does that still count? Yes, it does. This sign came to Spirit on a whim from you, and sometimes it just takes a wee bit longer for them to get it organized. I've had someone complain to me that they didn't see their pyramid, so, they didn't get their sign. But actually they did. They asked if it was a yes if they saw it. They didn't see it, so the answer is no, clearly. Just remember with Spirit, it doesn't usually mean never. It usually means not now. It means there's a better time or something better coming up right now. So if you don't get it, you've still got your message. The message is not right now. Okay. Thanks to lovely Jeanette. Looks like she's school drop-off time. Oh, that's right. You're in Australia. I know now. And yes, I did get my Skype fixed. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for joining us so far today. We are due for a short break, so I'm just going to have a chat to people in the chat room, and we'll be back just after these ads. See you back soon.
We will be back shortly with Kim and Sounds Like Spirit. Jenny Lee brings you spiritual insights, covering various topics from remote viewing to her upcoming book launch. Check it all out on our schedule live in the SOCRadio chat room on spiritualistonline.com, or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOCRadio. Beyond the Veil with Terry Oz. Check it out first Monday, monthly, 2 p.m. UK time. Terry shares her experiences and love of spiritual communication with those from beyond the veil. Join us live in the SOCRadio chat room on spiritualistonline.com, or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOCRadio. Spirit Talk with Julie. Spirits medium Julie Simpson and guests delve into the world of spirit, the faith and the way of life, renewing the movement that brought 2 worlds together and ancient spiritual beliefs to the forefront of society. Proving once and for all there is nothing to fear in talking to spirit. Live in the SOCRadio chat room on spiritualistonline.com, or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOCRadio. Myths and Legends with Jeanette Jade and guests, Monday at 10 a.m. UK time and 11 p.m. New Zealand time. you like ghost stories? Are you interested in true, historical and fictional spooky tales? Then join us each Monday for some spooky tales from Facebook group Ghosts, the Paranormal, Supernatural Myths and Legends. Psychic medium Jeanette and her guests chat and discuss these and other stories, personal experiences alongside some readings and messages from Spirit and more. Dare you call in and share your stories? Add Circle of Mediums to your Skype and join in the show. SOCRadio Encore Weekends. Listen again to various editions from SOCRadio. Quality, diverse spiritual chat, discussion, educational and spooky shows of hosts from around the world and their guests. Intermingled with amazing input from our friends at www.lightworkerreflections.com, offering their enlightened conversations, creating a space to invite spirit into the mix to enlighten our view. Spirit Talk with Julie. Spirit's medium, Julie Simpson and guests delve into the world of spirit, the faith and the way of life, renewing the movement that brought two worlds together and ancient spiritual beliefs to the forefront of society. Proving once and for all there is nothing to fear in talking to spirit. Live in the SOCRadio chat room on spiritualistsonline.com or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOCRadio. Welcome back to Sounds Like Spirit, sound advice for spiritual souls. We will be back shortly with Kim and Sounds Like...
One moment. The producer just said we've got 5 seconds to go, and I was sitting here with a mouthful full of twisties. It happens, people. My apologies. If you hear a little bit of crunching in your ear, there's nothing wrong with your radio station. Don't change the channel. It's just me. I know, it's not really a breakfast cereal, but I was running late this morning and it was all I had. Colin's apologizing. Don't worry about it, Colin. We're all good. Anyway, I had a feeling I did talk about this last week, but I didn't bring it up in a couple of classes. My development circle, so it may have been that. I just want to have a quick run over it because it's been on a lot of people's minds lately, and some of the information I was getting through was a wee bit on the ridiculous side. So if I did mention this last week, I apologize. I'll just have a quick run through it again. For example, I had a lady in my class, I won't name names, but she was concerned about doing Reiki because she didn't want to touch anyone. And by touch, I mean inappropriately. She didn't want to inappropriately touch anyone. She didn't want to have to do Reiki on the guys. And, and we're talking about the pelvic region, obviously. So, yes, no naming names, but we'll be having a wee laugh about that later today when she comes in for circle. But the reason I had a chat about Reiki to all my classes was a lot of people were interested in trying a particular form of healing, and most of them seemed quite interested in this. And when I did some of these courses and classes, it was a few years back, and I knew nothing. Seriously, I knew nothing about nothing. I know I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'm nobody's guru, but if I've got some information I can pass on that will be helpful, then I'm happy to do so. And Reiki is one of those things. So I did a lot of things a few years back that I had no idea what was involved. So I went to a healing with a group called Keller and the Ancients, and they're talking in light languages and waving their hands and incantating in front of me. And I was like, okay. And I was just like, seriously, if someone had warned me, I'd have been prepared. But I just, oh my God, Anyway, I want to make sure people are prepared. So we're just going to have a quick, okay, Evergreen saying we did the yes-no kinesiology exercise, but not Reiki. Okay, so I want to give you a quick rundown on what Reiki is. Now, there's a couple of forms, but I can only tell you from my point of view, so I'll tell you what I know. I did Usui, which is USUI, Usui Reiki, and there's Seichim and all these others that come in. There's angelic Reiki, there's a whole heap of things. So you take whatever it is that works for you. And remember, no learning is ever wasted, even if you're not planning on being a master healer, or it's just to help yourself or your friend who's got some, I don't know, cancer or something, whatever it is, whatever reason you want to do it, just because you're fascinated. If it's a sign, if it keeps popping up in front of your face, people, then you're supposed to be doing it. So stop ignoring the signs and get in there and do it. So I just wanted to have a wee talk about some of the questions that were asked of me. And if you've got any questions about Reiki, please ask them in the chat room. For those of you that are new here, you'll either be listening in on tunein.com or you'll be listening in on spiritualistsonline.com, which is www.spiritualistsonline.com. So any computer connection, and you can pick that up. And if you log in either as a guest or register your own personal login, when you can come in under whatever name you want to be called by, then you can join me in the chat room and interact with me during the show. So anyway, today we're talking about Reiki, and if you have any questions, let me know. But I just wanted to run through a few things that people seem to have huge misconceptions about. First of all, as far as I know, and remember everything I say is only as far as I know. I should put a disclaimer up every half hour, shouldn't I? But as far as I know, there are only 3 levels of Reiki. Level 1, Level 2, and Level 3. Makes sense so far, yes? Level 3 is known as mastery, okay? So Level 3, once you pass Level 3, you are a Reiki master, okay? If somebody tells you that there's Level 3 and Level 3.5 and Level 4 and then Reiki mastery, run. Because that's a money grabbing scheme, okay? Money grabbing scheme. So there are only 3 levels in Reiki: level 1, level 2, and level 3, which is mastery, okay? Now, do you need to know your master? You don't need to know them, but the people have said to me, oh, what about the Reiki online? Now, I do readings online and I heal from one side of the world to the other via distance. You know, I'm sitting here in New Zealand and I can do a healing on somebody in Germany. That's fine. So I understand the theory behind being taught online, but I don't know that that gives you a very good idea, vibe-wise, of who you're dealing with. So I would say there will be plenty of Reiki masters locally. And if there's not, find one nearby. Because you really need to meet them. Say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. What can you tell me? Because that's when you'll find out whether they're in it for the right reasons or if they're in it for the money. And I find this happens sometimes that, and it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, when somebody's done something for a very, very long time and they become very, very expert in it, they become a master of the work that they do, not necessarily Reiki, anything, then they are entitled to charge more. And I agree with that. Okay, if you have a larger skill set, you are entitled to a larger exchange in whatever form that takes. And if it's money, that's fine. But there is still a difference, even with those that charge a huge amount, for those that are in it for the money and those who are not. Some people that are in it that aren't in it for the money may still charge huge amounts, but you might find they do a lot of volunteer work or giving away free work and things like that. So you've got to weigh those things up. So don't automatically go because they're charging heaps of money that they must be just in it for the money. But some of them are, okay? So as a general rule, when you're looking, how much could you expect to pay? Well, Reiki 1, you would expect to pay a fairly small amount. By that, I'm talking about $150, maybe up to $350, depending on the facilities they're using, how long they've been doing it, that sort of thing. If somebody wants to charge you $1,000 for Reiki 1, run, okay? Run in the opposite direction. So I'll be telling you to run quite often in today's class, people, because you know, if you get a bad feeling about them, if you've had bad news stories from other people, if they seem to be charging disproportionately, if they have 6 levels in their Reiki, you know, these are all reasons to run the other way. Okay. So yeah, you could expect to pay $150 to $350. Reiki 2, you could expect to pay sort of $350 to sort of $650, and Reiki 3, you could expect to pay anywhere from sort of $350 to $1,000. So as you go up the levels, they do charge a wee bit more. But sometimes you'll find some that stick to the old-fashioned rules and that they do it for a very small amount of money. So basically, most of the work they're doing is gratis, and that doesn't mean they're any less of a master. It just means they were trained differently. I've been asked about time frames. You know, can you do Reiki 1, 2, and 3 at once? No, you cannot. And the reason for that is each Reiki step involves you to do 21 days of learning. Okay, 21 days of learning. So at level 1, after you've done your course, you'll be asked to do 21 days of self-healing. Okay, at level 1, your healing training is only on yourself for 21 days. Now, you could not do that. Somebody said to me, do I have to do it? And I said, well, no, everything's a choice. But the thing is, you get downloads and you really need to do that healing to get those downloads. So I'm just going to go back up a step there. What happens during Reiki 1? Okay. What happens during Reiki 1 is they symbol you in. Okay. You get what is called an attunement. Your Reiki master gives you this attunement, and this opens up a channel through which you can pull this energy through. Does that make sense to everyone? Opens up a channel through which you can pull this energy through for yourself and for other people. So they'll give you an attunement, and after your attunement, and good Lord, my Reiki master's going to have a fit because I can't remember, but either there are 7 downloads that take 3 days each, or 3 downloads that take 7 days each. I can't remember that, but there is a reason for the 21 days. Okay? There is a reason for those 21 days. So while you're doing that self-healing, not only are you setting the process in your mind and healing yourself to help yourself become a clearer channel, but you're also receiving those downloads to help with that information and those healing powers. Yes, what is my special power? Hi, my name's Kim. I'm a psychic medium. My special power is healing. So you get those downloads. So what they do in level 1 is they give you a symbol. Now, everybody works differently. Once again, I have done Reiki 1 and 2 twice under 2 different masters. So I've done 1 and 2 under one master and 1 and 2 under another master. Now, the first master I did it under gave us printouts. They gave us books on all sorts of things, including the symbols that we were using. So we could take home and learn them and play with them and do what it is we needed to do with them. My other Reiki master said, learn it and learn it well. At the end of today, we burn it. And that's exactly what she did. At the end of the day, took all our symbol scrawlings, ripped them out of our books and burnt it. Now, no one's right and no one's wrong. The Reiki master that I did it with second was told that these power symbols are not to be played with and therefore not for common knowledge. And the reason for that is it's like spirit boards, okay? Spirit boards have got a horrendously bad name because they were marketed years ago as Ouija boards, which they have been known as in certain cultures. And it's not that a Ouija board is a bad thing. It is that it was put into a game form and marketed to children as entertainment. That was a mistake. Okay. Well, actually, it was very clever marketing on behalf of somebody that was working for the wrong people, but on the wrong side of the energy field, people. But the point is, there's nothing wrong with a spirit board as long as you know to cleanse and protect, as long as you know to call for help, as long as you know to ask for the highest good. And can you just imagine how many people have done that? No. So they called through anything and everything, and they received anything and everything, which is why it caused so many problems and why it's got such a bad name now. So please, can we not tar everything with the same brush? And that's what this Reiki symboling is about, okay? The reason the second master didn't want to put out there is because it's just not for everyone to access and play with. You need to be trained if you want to use these symbols. So, and I agree with that. You know, seriously, don't go putting symbols up around your house if you don't know what they mean and you don't know how to use them. If you do know what they mean and you do have an inkling of how to use it, then by all means. So I'm not saying the first Reiki master is wrong, because there are a lot of people that just don't seem to cope well with learning that way, and they need repetition over time, or they need to look at it that way. They need to see it printed, or, everybody learns differently. Some learn through their eyes, some through their ears, some through touch, so we're all different. So there is no wrong. So be prepared that what I'm trying to prepare you for, I guess, is that you might go to someone and say, oh, well, that's not what my friend told me happened, because each Reiki master adds their own wee bits to it. So basically at this point, don't go to anyone who overcharges. Don't go to anyone you haven't met. Don't go to anyone who tells you that there is more than 3 levels, and don't go to anyone who makes you feel uncomfortable. Okay, so we're there first. The next thing I wanted to let you know is you do get this attunement, and you get given a symbol. And the symbol is 100% power here now, basically. It's all written in Japanese, and they all have meaning. And you use this symbol for everything, right? You can use it. What can you use it for? Here's where we're up to. What can you use it for? I'm doing this off the cuff. So as I said, guys, if you've got any questions that you'd like answered about what goes on in the process, let me know. So what can you use Reiki for? Well, obviously you use it for healing yourself, and you can use it for healing other people. So that's fantastic. But you can also use it for cleansing food. Like if you symbol in on your plate before you eat it, then you are making sure that only the highest energy gets absorbed by you and everything else doesn't. So I'm not saying you can make junk food perfect. We would love to, but you can make it better, and you can make everything better. You can do this in your pantry. You can do this to your fridge. You can do this anytime you eat or drink anything, all right? You can sort of cleanse it, as it were, so that it's got a higher vibration, a better energy for you. You can use it to recharge crystals. As you know, I'm a wee bit lazy on the recharging crystals front, and I'm a big fan of sticking them all out under the full moon once a month, because as far as I'm concerned, my job is done. But I can individually clear crystals using Reiki. Okay, so you can use it for your food, you can use it for your crystals, you can use it for healing. Tickle does that, well done. But, if you're on the spot, like somebody is trying to use a crystal for something and you pick it up and realize it's got very little energy left in it, then you can just stand there on the spot and you can charge it. So, there are advantages to being a portable healer and carrying it all with you, and that would be one of them. So you can use it for all sorts of things. You can use it for protection. You can put it on the corners of your room and on the walls of your room to protect your room. I do much the same with runic protection, but you can do it with anything that makes you happy. Some people do it with crystals. They'll put selenite in the corners of their room. Some people will do it with copper rods. Some people will do it with natural products like apples and things like that for protection. But you can use Reiki to protect and to clear and cleanse your home and the areas that you work in. What else did I want to say about this? When you get to level 2, you'll get your second attunement. Okay, your second attunement. And the way this works is you will no longer, you will seldom use the symbol you were given in level 1. You'll be given 3 new symbols. Okay, 3 new symbols. And they are quite complicated, but not impossible. Don't ever think, I wouldn't be able to do it. Of course you would. You get taught how to do it. Now, one of them's got... And one of them's got, I think, 9 strokes or 10 strokes, something like that. And I made up a wee saying, and it's the Buddha in me greets the Buddha in you. And I say that as I do each stroke, so I remember where I'm going. So you can make up these little things to remind you how the symbols are drawn. So it's not quite as difficult as you might think. So, and you can use... the words, like there's a symbol called Honja Ze Shone, and I do that. There's 3 sections to the symbol, okay, and I say it as I do each stroke. Honja Ze Shone, Honja Ze Shone. The Buddha in me greets the Buddha in you. So by the time I've said that wee phrase, each one of those syllables has a stroke. Okay, so I've made up a wee way of helping me to remember it. So it's not that difficult. So don't look at it and go, oh my God, I could never write that. Of course you could. You just find a way to do it. So depending on your master, they may give you this information in a booklet form, or they may burn it when you're done. But either way, you'll be taught the symbols. Okay, now the reason for these different symbols in level 2 is you're kind of leveling up. You're powering up. For those of you that play video games, you're leveling up. Okay, so they're strengthening your connection. They're giving you additional downloads, which you'll get over the next 21 days. They just float through the universe to you through this lovely connection that you've been given. And once again, the information is different from different Reiki masters. My first Reiki master believed that you could do a distance healing in a matter of minutes. My second Reiki master used something as a proxy, a pillow or a teddy bear, and took the same amount of time, 40 minutes to an hour, that you do on a face-to-face healing. So once again, you may be taught something differently in this area. And even with the symbols themselves, they call it a Reiki sandwich, because you symbol one symbol in between. You sandwich one symbol in between one of the others. And I have got one master that uses these symbols on the body all the time. The other one that says these two only are for the body. And this one here gets added to the first one and is used for distance healing only. So I'm right in the middle of two very different teachings, but you take what works for you and you go with that. I've got a friend who does intuitive healing, but while she was intuitive healing, her guides sent her the symbols. So now every time she actually does Reiki, so every time she calls on her guides for healing, they symbol in for her. So lucky friend of mine didn't actually have to learn this because her guides bring it to her. And when you're intuitive healing, your guides will often bring you things that you haven't actually learned yet. But they're just doing it for you. So that's fantastic. So level 2, you'll get a second attunement. You'll get 3 symbols that you will now use instead of the one you originally used. And that's how it goes. When you get to level 3, you'll get a third attunement and be given a master symbol. So once again, the other symbols will fall away and you'll use your master symbol. So I'm hoping everybody's keeping up with this and it's making sense and I'm not just waffling on here. Okay, now what happens during attunement? Some attunements, the master will put the symbols in on your hands. Some people will do it on your head, and some people will do it in the air around you, and you'll just be sitting there with your eyes closed feeling all this wild gesticulating going on around you. But they do that. Some of them will have you sit in your lap with your hands face up. Some of them will have your hands together as in prayer with your thumbs touching your chakras, usually your third eye and your heart, and some of them will like blow on that to push the symbol through. And so it's very, very different between different masters once again. So the other thing I wanted to say with your masters too, check their lineage. Lineage is quite important in Reiki. How many times they are removed from the original Usui. And I think of it a bit like Chinese whispers. You know, it starts out on the front line, send reinforcements, we're going to advance. And by the time it gets back to base, it's send 3 and 4 pints, we're going to a dance. And I think it's a bit like that with Reiki or anything else that gets taught. Everybody adds their own little bit of something into it, and information gets lost or retranslated as it goes. So try and find a master that's close in lineage. My first Reiki master, I think, was about 12 or 13 down the lineage line. Can go back through 12 to get to the original Usui. My second Reiki master is only 4. Okay. So Usui taught it to his son, who taught it to a woman in Australia, who taught it to my master. Okay, so try and get a master whose lineage is small. So these are questions that you need to ask. Okay, so first of all, how much do they charge? Secondly, do you get on with the master? Thirdly, are there only the 3 steps because there should be? And you also want to ask what their lineage is on your master and what sort of interaction they have with you after the Reiki's done. Some masters will just teach you and leave you to it, and others will be involved and they'll contact you every month or every couple of months or do refresher courses for you and whoever you were taught with. Sometimes you do it on your own, one-on-one with a master, and sometimes you'll do it in a group. I have found, looking around and from experience of people I've spoken to, that the ones who have done the one-on-one tend to be less involved. Now, that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Because you think if you've got one-on-one teaching, that they would be invested directly in you. But I tend to find those might come from some of the larger healing centres. They're probably more in it for the money. A master tends to wait to make it worth their time, worth their while, if you know what I mean. So they'll wait until they've got 4 students that they'll teach at once. I wouldn't go on a class any bigger than 8 because you wouldn't be getting enough time and attention. Most of these attunements take a day. They're done over 1 day. My timeframes are interesting. As I said, you've got 21 days after each attunement before you do anything further. So it would need to be at least 21 days. So basically a month between 1, 2, and 3. But sometimes it's worth doing a wee bit more, like doing, say, at least 30 days of healing. That's just a figure I've plucked out of the air, and it's something I do. Every now and then when I feel I haven't been doing enough healing, I start doing a healing every day for 30 days, and it just helps you with those downloads and reconnects. One of my masters does healing every day. You know, even if she doesn't have a client to do, she will do healing on someone every day. She'll do a distance healing. Now, that's one of the other major differences too. Reiki 1 is hands-on very much. So they'll run your hands down your body, and they'll probably get you to do that on another student if there's more than one of you. Reiki 2, depending on the master, can be hands-on, but in Reiki 2, generally, they're teaching you how to heal via distance. So usually when you're training for Reiki 2, you'll be working above the auric field. So you'll be working, healing with your hands a foot or so above the client or the student that you're working on. So with this friend of mine that was concerned about having to touch people, no, you don't, because in Reiki 1, you'll only be touching other students or yourself. This sounds really rude. I hope no one's coming in halfway in the middle of this conversation. It's going to sound so bad. So in Reiki 1, you only touch yourself, and you do 21 days worth of healing on yourself. Reiki 2, you're learning via distance. So your 21 days healing can be on yourself, on someone else, or via distance. And it can be hands-on or hands-off. Okay, so once you get to that, you can start working any which way you choose. Level 2 also starts you on a more intuitive path. So you get taught the basic structure for healing in 1, and then you do follow it in 2, but they work more on your intuition, on where you feel drawn to. So why do it? And I would say, well, one of the reasons is a lot of people, like everybody's a healer. Everybody's a healer, just like everybody's a psychic medium. But most people just don't know how to access it or what to do with it. So the advantage of something like Reiki is it gives you a structure. It gives you a structure that you can follow. Now, you can, by all means, let go of that structure when you're at level 2 or level 3 mastery and start doing whatever you feel like, which is great. Just use your symbols to call in the energy, and that's fine. But you can intuitively heal without that. But it is very helpful to give you a starting point, even if you were only to do Reiki 1, so that you've got a vague idea of what goes on. How involved does it get? Well, it depends on the master. Like, I had one of the guys in my development circle did Reiki just this week, level 1, and I was asking him about it, and he was shown the symbols, but he wasn't really made to use and learn them. And I'm thinking that's really odd for Reiki, but okay, everybody's different. And my Reiki masters have given us a lot of background information. One of them focused particularly on the physical. So you got all about the chakras, the major chakras, the 7 that everybody uses. The minor chakras is another 22, and then you go into a whole heap more after that. So we did the major and the minor chakras. She also talked about crystals in healing and using crystals with Reiki. She also talked about the chakras and which endocrine systems and things like that they belong to, and that sort of thing. That piece there was also done by my second Reiki master, and she focused a lot on the emotional side of Reiki, because Reiki is about mastering your emotions. Okay, it's about mastering your emotions. It's about keeping yourself clean and as pure as you can, so that you can help others to be the same. So very, very different for everybody. So I just wanted you to be prepared on what's involved and what you need to know. If anybody's got any other questions, let me know. Tickle's interested. Evergreen's popped in. She's got, I know, a really good Sachem master in the US. He does one-on-one courses on Skype. And a few years ago, he traveled around the US to meet other SOC members to do their level 3s in person. That's fabulous. That's fabulous. So do ask around in your area, okay? Ask around in your area, because I see what you're saying there, Evergreen. You've had some of them do online, but level 3 and mastery. Now, I did the same thing with mediumship. I did beginners and intermediate online and advanced face-to-face in Bali. Yay, exciting. So as I said right at the beginning, it's not that it can't be done online. Just find out who clicks with you and get references from other people. So if Evergreen's got someone in your area there and she is recommending him, then that's a good start. Okay, so how does a whopping empath get to that state? Get to what state, Evergreen? Mastery? Is that what we're talking about? Sorry, I'm a bit lost in the chat room, people. Just bear with me for a moment. I'm actually multitasking all the time for those of you out in Radio Land. I'm typing into the chat room, and I'm watching and looking and reading in the chat room and talking to you and going through my notes and things like that. So, yeah, it's an awesome. I don't know specifically what your question is here yet, Evergreen, but it's an awesome way of mastering protection. Oh, there's one more thing I need to talk about too, is exactly what it opens you up for. But I see we're due for a break, so I'm going to take a quick break now, and I'll be right back with how you can expect this to affect your psychic and mediumship abilities. Back after this break.
We will be back shortly with Kim and Sounds Like Spirit. Beyond the Veil with Terry Oz. Check it out first Monday, monthly, 2 p.m. UK time. Terry shares her experiences and love of spiritual communication with those from beyond the veil. Join us live in the SOCRadio chat room on spiritualistonline.com or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOCRadio. Spirit Talk with Julie. Spirits medium Julie Simpson and guests delve into the world of spirit, the faith and the way of life, renewing the movement that brought two worlds together and ancient spiritual beliefs to the forefront of society. Proving once and for all there is nothing to fear in talking to spirit. Live in the SOCRadio chat room on spiritualistonline.com or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOCRadio. SOCRadio Encore Weekends. Listen again to various editions from SOCRadio. Quality, diverse spiritual chat, discussion, educational and spooky shows with hosts from around the world and their guests. Intermingled with amazing input from our friends at www.lightworkerreflections.com, offering their enlightened conversations, creating a space to invite spirit into the mix to enlighten our view. Myths and Legends with Jeanette Jade and guests, Monday at 10 a.m. UK time and 11 p.m. New Zealand time. Do you like ghost stories? Are you interested in true, historical and fictional spooky tales? Then join us each Monday for some spooky tales from Facebook group Ghosts, the Paranormal, Supernatural Myths and Legends. Psychic medium Jeanette and her guests chat and discuss these and other stories, personal experiences alongside some readings and messages from spirit and more. Dare you call in and share your stories? Add Circle of Mediums to your Skype and join in the show. Beyond the Veil with Terry Oz. Check it out first Monday, monthly, 2 p.m. UK time. Terry shares her experiences and love of spiritual communication with those from beyond the veil. Join us live in the SOCRadio chat room on spiritualistonline.com or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOCRadio. Spirit Talk with Julie. Spirits medium Julie Simpson and guests delve into the world of spirit, the faith and the way of life, renewing the movement that brought two worlds together and ancient spiritual beliefs to the forefront of society. Proving once and for all there is nothing to fear in talking to spirit. Live in the SOCRadio chat room on spiritualistonline.com or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOCRadio. Welcome back to Sounds Like Spirit, sound advice for spiritual souls.
Thank you all so much for still being here. Welcome one, welcome all. Thank you out there in Radio Land, tunein.com and www.spiritualistonline.com. And of course, all the lovely people we have here in the chat room today. Evergreens was asking me about controlling her emotions, and like my second master emphasized, absolutely. When you come down to it, there is only a handful. I think there's 5. I think I'd have to way back in my notes, but I think there's 5 things that, or major emotions that everything comes down to. So you've got things like you would have a fear of success or failure. You'll have a fear of abandonment. You'll have issues with anger or envy, or so everything comes back to one of those handful of base emotions. And okay, so as an example, excuse me, we were asked to write down something that we had a problem with in our life, and it could be anything. And one of the guys wrote down not sleeping well. Okay, so we took that not sleeping well and it was broken down to its nth degree. Why do you not sleep well? Oh, because I go to bed too late. Why do you go to bed too late? Because I'm too busy catching up with everybody during the day. So that's about feeling loved and feeling wanted. But it moved past that. You're okay. So why can't we manage our time better with these things? Are you not tired? Yes, I'm tired. So you start working back to the root cause of these things. And when you get close to the root cause, whoever you're talking to, if you're doing this for somebody, a client, when you get close to that cause, they'll start repeating themselves and talking in circles because they don't want to take that step back to the real reason why it's being done. So for this young gentleman in particular, when it got back to the root cause of it, was feelings of unworthiness. Okay. So he had to do all these things with all these people during the day because he needed to feel accepted and loved and in a group. And he felt that if he didn't do those things and go to all those things that everybody asked him to, that he wouldn't be included. And if he wasn't included, then he wasn't loved. And if he wasn't lovable, then he wasn't worthy. Do you see how that works? I know that's a really, really short rundown on how to get back to it, but you just keep asking a couple of very pertinent questions, and you ask the same question. Children, when they ask a question and you give them an answer and they go, but why? And you give them an answer and they go, but why? You give them an answer and they go, but why? Eventually, if you were paying attention to that question, you would get to the root of what they're really asking. Okay? There is an end to that. There is an end to that, but why? And it's the same when you're trying to master your emotions. So you may think you've just got trouble sleeping, or you can't focus on something at work, or you've got a short attention span, or whatever it is you've got in your life, you're struggling to lose weight, or you've got issues with relationships or something like that. You ask these questions and you keep asking and asking and asking and asking until you get back to what the root cause is. Then you can write an affirmation about that root cause. You can change that core programming. We'll take this particular example that we've just been talking about. If you had a whole heap of friends and people wanting to spend time with you all the time, are you unlovable and unworthy? Would they want to if you were unlovable and unworthy? No. You're lovable and you're worthy. That's why they want to spend time with you. But you've got a core belief that says you're not. So you need to change that. And I know we did talk about that last week when we were doing kinesiology testing and stuff like that for changing core beliefs, Psych-K programming, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's when we're talking about mastering your emotions, Evergreen. That's what we're talking about. We're talking, okay, you may not know what your issue is and at its root cause, but you know how it shows in your physical world. So it's a way of working that back. So my second master spent a lot of time on that, whereas my first one spent a lot of time on calling in other forms of healing, knowing what parts of the body were what, and what crystals related to those and those sorts of things. So everybody will give you something differently. So if they're doing it to you, training you in an hour or 2 hours or something like that, you're probably not getting all of that. So yeah, go someone that gives you the full day. And sometimes some of them might even spread it over a full weekend. Know that if they're doing a full weekend, they'll be giving a little more than just basic Reiki. So find out what that is, because if it's something that interests you, that's great, to get it all thrown in with that. But yeah, so yeah, it's about mastering emotions. And I remember, oh God, here we go, personal story again. I was sitting in a development circle that I'd been in for a year, and most of the ladies there were fairly well advanced, fairly well developed. And I'm not saying that I wasn't, but I was relatively new to things at the time. So there's a lot of stuff that I didn't really know anything about. And I'd done my Reiki 1 and 2, and we were doing readings on each other in the circle, which is what we do quite a bit. And this lady said to me, she said, and she didn't know me from Adam, so this is all good information that she's pulled through, but the way it was sent to me was ridiculous. She said to me, you do Reiki, don't you? And I said, yes, I do. She said, you want to be a Reiki master? And I said, oh, maybe at some stage. I thought, I feel like I'm being led down the garden path, so I was being very circumspect about what I was answering. She said, yeah, you want to be a Reiki master for the notoriety of it. And I'm thinking, methinks she might have a wee jealousy issue going on there. First of all, I'd only done level 1 or whatever it was at that time, so miles away from Reiki mastery. And secondly, You don't do Reiki for the notoriety of it. Anybody who knows anything about it knows that Reiki is about letting go of those emotions, is trying to master those things that give ego a way in. So it's the very opposite of what she was suggesting to me. But as we know, that's a sign in itself. If somebody attacks you verbally or energetically like that, then you're just the mirror. They've got issues. So obviously she was feeling inferior about the type of healing that she was doing, whatever that was. But I mean, that's not my issue, and I can let that go because it's not my issue. But every little piece of you that develops, every little bit of spiritual awareness that you get leads you a wee bit further down this path where you deal better with those things in life that have been bugging you forever. So, it's win-win, really. There's no knowledge that's ever wasted, and it can improve your life so much, just your spiritual development. So anyway, I hope that answered your question, Evergreen, or if I did muddy the waters, I'm not sure. But the other thing I did want to mention is what it opens up in you, okay? Now, the reason for that is somebody who's never done anything in the way of spiritual development, if they do Reiki, for example, level 1 might open them up to a whole heap of information that they weren't expecting, okay? Because it does open up your channels. It does clear you, and it does move you forward from a psychic medium healer type point of view. So level 1, if you've done, like I've the guy that did it in my Reiki this week, who's in my development workshop, he's done Ayakusha ceremonies and however you pronounce it, ceremonies in Peru, and he's done a bit of spiritual development now. He's in a development circle, so he's well on the road. So Reiki 1 probably won't have a huge effect on him. Reiki 2 might, and Reiki 3 certainly will. So probably if you're let's say you're a very experienced psychic or medium, then level 3 will bring you clarity. There's never a bad thing in this. And if you have done very little in the way of spiritual development, these levels, these attunements, will open you up quite a lot. Now, I've got a friend who's been a healer for quite some time, Reiki, and years she's done it, and she only set her mastery a couple of months ago, and ever since then, she's getting information all the time. And you can shut it down, it is a choice, but you will become a lot more aware. So that's the other upside of the attunements 1, 2, and 3, is each attunement, those downloads will carry with it a lot more channels, and you'll receive a lot more information. It will open you up a lot more, so be prepared. And also I wanted to mention that during the healing, sometimes during your self-healing 21 days, sometimes people who are very angry will become very calm, and people who are very calm will become very agitated, and people who are very self-controlled will burst into tears all the time. And it doesn't always happen. I'm just saying these are things that can happen. So I hope I've waffled on about that long enough for everybody to get the general gist of what's going on there. So try and find a Reiki master that either you know or you've got good recommendations from a friend. Ask them how involved they're going to be on the day and in the months and life path that follows. Ask them what they charge and what the costs are for all the different levels. Make sure you're only working with 3 levels, because there really only are 3. Sometimes your Reiki master will call you in when they are doing mastery attunements after you're a master, so that you can learn how to teach this to others. But there are no other levels. There's only 1, 2, and 3. Be prepared that you will go in and get attunements, and you will have to do 21 days of healing after that. Be prepared that these attunements will open you up to additional psychic and mediumship experiences and information. It does help you control your emotions and your reactions to people, and it does it can give you a nice wee group of friends too, of people who will do this. I've got one group that I did it with, a group of about 8, and I am quite excluded from that group, and I could be quite hurt by that. But I do my own thing most of the time, so I'm not too worried about it. But some of the people that are in my class that are looking at it, I said, look, why don't 4 of you that are quite keen get together and do it together? And that way you've got people that you can practice on. If you do it in a group of 4 or a group of 8, then you've got people that you can ring and say, hey, we need to practice. Or you can call all 8 of them up and go, hey, let's have a get together on Wednesday night and do some healing on each other, just to, make sure we're all still on track, and that or if you want to do one a day for 30 days or something, and you need people to practice on, you've only got so many family members. After that, you might want to try somebody else. So it's nice to do it in a wee group, but if you have to do it by yourself, that's fine too. I'm just saying there are advantages to doing it in a group of people. So anybody else got any questions on that? You've been relatively quiet in the chat room, so I'm assuming you all either know everything or it's been fascinating. I always assume that. But I just wanted to run down. God, I do think I talked about this last week, but okay. I just wanted to make sure you were all aware of what happens. Reiki is by no means the only healing field. There's EFT tapping. There is Bell Pass Vista. There is zero balancing, holistic pulsing, access bars. Look, the list is endless. Anything there's Tesla coils, massage, anything like that that works with energy and a healing force is worth learning. And as I said, no learning is ever wasted. And like everything else you learn, you might learn it and that might be your stop off. You might be destined to be a Reiki practitioner. This may be your calling, or you might get that done and think, yeah, but I'd rather read, or yeah, but I want to look at this healing, or the learning never ends. That's what I want to clarify, I guess. The learning never ends. Thanks for that, Evergreen. She said it's been really interesting. But I just wanted to give you all an in-depth idea of what's involved and what happens, because people go, oh, yeah, I'm going to go do Reiki. Oh, I've done my Reiki 1, I've done my Reiki 2. It doesn't really tell you anything. So I don't know about a lot of the other forms of healing. I don't use a lot of the other forms of healing. I was an intuitive healer prior to healing with Reiki, and I still am to a point. I use sound a lot to heal. Okay, I don't know. Has anybody, this is a weird question. Has anybody ever sung to you on a radio show? Anybody ever sung? I want to know if the sound comes out okay or if it doesn't. So I'm just, show of hands, who knows that this works? Okay, I'm going to get you to do something for me. My voice is a wee bit rough today, but I want to show you how I heal. So I'd like you to get comfortable wherever it is you are. If you're driving, please don't close your eyes. But everyone else, if you could please close your eyes, and I'll do a wee 30-second experiment on you. All right, here we go. Oh, misty eye of the mountain below, keep careful watch of my brother's soul. And should the sky be filled with fire and smoke, keep watching over during sun. All right, that's all of me you'll have to listen to today. And I have no idea how that comes through on a radio mic, so apologies. But that song has been put out by Ed Sheeran a couple of years ago. It's called I See Fire. It is a remake of an old Celtic song that was a battle call to war. Okay, so it's in the key of F. Thank you, Tickle. That was amazing. Thank you. It's in the key of F, and F is the note for the heart chakra. So I can open up someone's heart chakra with that. Standing face to face and semi-blasting that into somebody's face, just like that, I can and have, unfortunately, made people cry. So if they've had closed heart chakras, something like that will open it a wee bit. So I can use sound as healing, but then anyone can use sound as healing. Okay, I've done that. Did I make you cry, or did I just open your chakra, Tickle? If I've made you cry, here, I'll give you a tissue. Hang on. Apologies. Okay, so does that make sense to everyone? I use other forms of healing. Okay, so I know, for example, that your 7 major chakras all belong to a note on the C major scale. So your root chakra is a C, your sacral chakra is a D, your solar plexus is an E, your heart is an F, your throat chakra is a G. So, and your third eye is an A, and your crown chakra is a B. So you run C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So just gives you an idea. Each chakra also has a word. You'll have heard of Om and things like that. Those words are chanted in side along with those notes that are appropriate for those chakras to help open them. So you will also Tickle said her heart opened up and an angel flew out and danced around in the sky with other spirits and angels. That's beautiful. That wasn't even my best work. I should stop saying that because I know I'm a bit rough today, but you should always just say thank you when someone pays you a compliment. So thank you, my honey. So this is a way I heal. So for years I've worked in pubs and private functions. I'm a wedding singer technically. So I've been healing people for years without realizing that I was doing it. Of course, now I know what it is. So quite often when I'm healing, I'll start singing an old Maori song or just humming away to myself, and that's just and Evergreen said that hit her in the chest, which is right. Okay, so I must have sung it in the right key then. I must have hit, because I try to be pitch perfect, but not always. Okay, so I must have hit that in the key of F because it did hit you in the heart chakra, which is what it's designed to do. So do you need to say Om, and do you need to and hold an F note? No, you don't. Find a modern song that's in the key relevant to the chakra you're trying to keep clear. Okay, so does that make sense to everybody? It doesn't have to be old-fashioned. It doesn't have to be classical music. It doesn't have to be folk music. You just find a modern song that's in the key of the chakra that you want to open up. Okay, don't take my word for this. You can Google online and find out the notes that belong to the chakras. That's all you need to do. Now, people have been using this for years. I am sure you will all have heard of copper bowls or crystal bowls. And people run a wooden stick or a glass stick around those to create a sound from the edge or from the rim. And these are in different notes. So you could buy a crystal. I'm big on making your own, right? You know this. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, making your own stuff, spirit sticks and cards and things like that. Okay, you can make your own crystal bowls. Evergreen's a singer too. Oh, great. So this stuff will fascinate you. So we'll get into this. If you have, for example, let's say a copper bowl, you know, the wee brassy looking things that you buy in the new age stores to help with healing somebody, and it's only one note, right? If you want to make it different notes, you put water in it. Okay, remember years ago those people used to sing, and they used to accompany themselves by playing the crystal wine glasses. They had them all set out on a table in front of them. They were all filled with different amounts of waters. That's what alters the sound. Okay, so you can do it with a glass. Okay, you can rub around the rim of a crystal glass and get the same thing. You don't have to spend $400 on a crystal bowl. So you can buy a set of 6 crystal glasses and you can put different amounts of water in them and create different sounds that you can use for healing. Okay, so you don't have to go and spend $400 a bowl on 7 bowls for each of those chakras. Would it be lovely to have? Absolutely. But you know, that's expensive. That's $2,500 worth to buy 7 bowls at $400 each, and they're usually around that price, around $350 to $550 a bowl. Okay, for crystal bowls, and I love the crystal ones far better than the copper ones, or the brass ones. But to each his own, and the brass and copper ones are easier to get your hands on, and they're cheaper. So if you've got one and you want to change and you want to play with it and see what difference it makes on other chakras, then fill it with water, add some in, take some out, those sorts of things, and get it working for you. So today, obviously, we're back to, I'm so arty crafty lately. I'm back to don't spend big money on things when you have things that'll do the same job at home. You know, if you've got glass bowls that you bake with, you can put water in those, put a bit of water on the rim and rub those, or find something to rub it with. But I find a finger works just as well until you get them to sing. And that singing will help clear and open your chakras. Now, I don't know about the rest of you listening in Radio Land, and as I said, it wasn't my best work, but the feedback from the couple of people in the chat room here is that absolutely has hit people in the chest and open heart chakras. So the point is, healing can be done any which way. So I've given you a big rundown on Reiki today, but there are many other forms of healing. So we're now on to sound healing, which is kind of what I do. Now, you may not know it, but you're being healed right now. Yes, you're being healed right now. My voice is my gift, okay? My voice is my gift. So it doesn't matter whether I'm singing or whether I'm talking. And you guys can't argue with this because you've just sat there for 90 minutes and listened to me for 90 solid minutes. So there is something about my voice, and I say this without ego. This is what I do. Okay, you've got to appreciate your gifts and you've got to use what you can. I also heal through food. You don't realize when you're a healer how much, and everybody's a healer. You don't realize how much of your stuff goes through and everything you do. If you're someone who loves to cook, you'll be healing people. Every time you put those dishes out in front of somebody, you're sending them your love. You're sending them your healing. You're sending them your essence, your energy, your help, your support. Okay? So there's many ways of healing. My special area, I guess, if you want to call it that, is sound. Do I do sound healing journeys and things like that? No, I don't. But I think I need to get into it. I think I need to look into it a wee bit more and do some sound healing journeys. The problem is with me, I've been doing popular music for so long, and most of the ones I hear of are Celtic or Scottish or Indian or something. But I need to get over that, because what I do want to do is try to bring some of this healing into a modern day context. And that's what I want to do with a lot of things, Crystal bowl, great. Can you make your own? Yes. I want to try and bring things to that's part of my teaching gift, bring things to people in a way that they can do them, that they can use them without having to, oh, good Lord, Evergreen saying she's had the bowls with healing a few times, brilliant. And one practitioner wanted to sell her a $2,000 citrine bowl. A citrine bowl would be beautiful, and that you do get them made out of these things. I saw a labradorite bath once and I thought, oh my God, seriously? You'd pay big money because to get them in that size, But yeah, by all means, if you're made of money, go ahead. But for the rest of us who pretty much live on a wing and a prayer, we trust the universe to provide, and they do. It just means, we don't tend to be super, super multimillionaires. I'm not saying it won't happen, and I think I might work on that now that I've said that, just to prove that it can. Evergreen's going, she sings while she's cooking and baking. Right. So that's exactly what I'm saying. So while you're doing that cooking and baking, which goes to other people, you are inputting your healing energy into that. Some people do it with their voice. Some people do it with their hands. You're probably doing it with both. So these are all strings to the healing bow. Okay. Strings to the healing bow. I've got a friend who's Reiki master, and she uses a rainmaker, which looks a bit like a didgeridoo, but as you tilt it from one end to the other, the noise rattles through it. It's a woodwind kind of a thing, and it does it at it has to be a C because it's quite low, so it will be affecting your root chakra or your sacral chakra, somewhere down that end. And Tickle's going, I actually have a really deep voice, only this week I learned that it affects my body like Om. There you go. So we need to find out, and I'll pop into what note does Om relate to? Question mark. Let's see what we can come up with. Crystal singing bowls. Frequency of notes. I'm just trying to find something in a hurry. It's very hard to multitask. If anybody else can have a look at that, please pop into anywhere. Oh, it's just popped me off the page. 7 pitch perfect frosted crystal singing bowls. $1,600 for all 7 of them. There you go, people. So I'm just trying to find the note that is Om. There we go. I can answer for you. The root chakra is Om. That's what I said. See, it has to be low. The root and Om chakras are found at the base of the spinal column, connected with the problems of survival, drive, aspiration, grounding one's energy into the physical body, food, clothing, shelter, finances. Its color is red. The note is C and C sharp. So there we go. We've answered that question. I love it when we get involved in the chat room. Okay, Tickle. So the note Om is the note on the scale that Om is C, and that's why a lot of people do the put your second finger and thumb together, turn your hands up, put them on your knees, sit in the lotus position and go Om, because what they're doing is they're opening their chakras starting at the bottom. So does that help you, Tickle? Nice. Yes, great. Superb. So there's a lot of this stuff that is just academic learning. Okay, we've hit break time, so if you'll bear with me, we'll head to break. I'm going to quickly race off and feed the cat and make sure the fire's still going, and I'll be back after these messages.
We will be back shortly with Kim and Sounds Like Spirit. Spirit Talk with Julie. Spirits medium Julie Simpson and guests. delve into the world of spirit, the faith and the way of life, renewing the movement that brought two worlds together and ancient spiritual beliefs to the forefront of society. Proving once and for all there is nothing to fear in talking to spirit. Live in the SOCRadio chat room on spiritualistsonline.com, or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOCRadio. Sounds Like Spirit with Kim Mehlhopt. Sound advice for spiritual souls. For all your development and spiritual chat, join Kim weekly at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Wednesdays, New Zealand time, 9 p.m. Tuesdays, UK time. Live in the SOCRadio chat room on spiritualistsonline.com, or simply tune in at tunein.com and search for SOCRadio. Beyond the Veil with Terry Oz. Check it out first Monday, monthly, 2 p.m. UK time. Terry shares her experiences and love of spiritual communication with those from beyond the veil. Join us live in the SOCRadio chat room on spiritualistsonline.com, or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOCRadio. Myths and Legends with Jeanette Jade and guests, Monday at 10 a.m. UK time and 11 p.m. New Zealand time. Do you like ghost stories? Are you interested in true, historical and fictional spooky tales? Then join us each Monday for some spooky tales from Facebook group Ghosts, the Paranormal, Supernatural Myths and Legends. Psychic medium Jeanette and her guests chat and discuss these and other stories, personal experiences alongside some readings and messages from Spirit, and more. Dare you call in and share your stories? Add Circle of Mediums to your Skype and join in the show. SOCRadio Encore Weekends. Listen again to various editions from SOCRadio. Quality, diverse spiritual chat, discussion, educational and spooky shows of hosts from around the world and their guests. Intermingled with amazing input from our friends at www.lightworkerreflections.com, offering their enlightened conversations, creating a space to invite spirit into the mix to enlighten our view. Myths and Legends with Jeanette Jade and guests, Monday at 10 a.m. UK time and 11 p.m. New Zealand time. Do you like ghost stories? Are you interested in true, historical and fictional spooky tales? Then join us each Monday for some spooky tales from Facebook group Ghosts, the Paranormal, Supernatural Myths and Legends. Psychic medium Jeanette and her guests chat and discuss these and other stories, personal experiences alongside some readings and messages from Spirit, and more. Dare you call in and share your stories? Add Circle of Mediums to your Skype and join in the show. SOCRadio Encore Weekends. Listen again to various editions from SOCRadio. Quality, diverse spiritual chat, discussion, educational and spooky shows of hosts from around the world and their guests. Intermingled with amazing input from our friends at www.lightworkerreflections.com, offering their enlightened conversations, creating a space to invite spirit into the mix to enlighten our view. Beyond the Veil with Terry Oz. Check it out first Monday, monthly, 2 p.m. UK time. Terry shares her experiences and love of spiritual communication with those from beyond the veil. Join us live in the SOCRadio chat room on spiritualistsonline.com, or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOCRadio. Welcome back to Sounds Like Spirit, sound advice for spiritual souls.
Hi, welcome one, welcome all, welcome back. You are listening live on SOCRadio to me, Kim Mehlhopt. Sounds Like Spirit on the Sound Advice for Spiritual Souls show. We've been doing a lot of talking today about what's involved in Reiki, who to go to, what it's going to cost you, what happens during an attunement, all that sort of thing. We've got the guys in the chat room joining us. Thanks for joining us, and Tracy. And they were talking about in the chat room while I've been gone about sound journeys, just a form of healing. Oh no, not too long after the one they listened to, the chakra bulb broke. No. So as I was saying, it's lovely to have those things, and it could cost you anywhere from $1,600 to $2,500 to buy a set of singing bowls, but you can make your own. You just need a glass bowl, and you can fill it with water to get the appropriate level of note depending on what chakra you're wanting to work on. So I hope I've made that clear for everybody and didn't muddy the waters there. But my additional gift to my healing is my voice. Not only is it apparently pleasant and fascinating to listen to, but it's pitch perfect, and it has a resonance that allows me to heal using that, as do a lot of people. You'll find anyone who works as a counsellor or anyone that deals with giving a lot of advice or anything like that either has a stunning speaking voice or an excellent singing voice, because it is part of our gift of healing and gift of love to do this with and for people. So, but once again, you don't have to have the most expensive equipment, but you do need to know the basics. As I said, a lot of this is simply academic learning, okay? Some people will know the stuff without even knowing why or how they knew it, but some people will have to learn. So by all means, go learn. You know, Uncle Google is my friend. So as I said earlier, every note has a chakra. The bass is C and C sharp. The sacral is D and D sharp. So all the way through to your crown chakra. In the Om is a Reiki, a Buddhist symbol, a Reiki symbol. And each chakra has a note and a word and a color. So you can heal using any of those. For example, if you were an artist, you would heal using colors, yes? You would draw things on canvases and it would make people feel things, right? So you're using your colors to heal, to communicate, okay? So if you're an artist, you're using the colors associated with the chakras. If you're a singer, you are using the notes associated with the chakras. If you are a speaker, you are using the words associated with the chakra, okay? If you are a healer, you are just working with the energy associated with the chakras. So there are so many ways of healing, and everybody has particular areas of expertise. Now, much as we call them gifts, there's not too many words you can use in place of that. But I believe that almost everybody, everybody does have the ability to be a psychic, a medium, and a healer. It's just how much you want to step into that, and how much work you want to do around it. If it's not gifted to you, open and ready to use, then you'll have to do some work on it. That's all there is to it. So everybody is capable of doing that, but everybody also has their areas of expertise. Like me, as a child, I used to do a bit of work in track and field, but really as an adult, I'm not an athlete, okay? I may be overweight, but I'm fit, and I know that. You know, I did a friend asked me to go for a 6K walk, and I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. I don't have any problems with that sort of thing. But if you asked me to run at the local Harriers Club, I'll go bugger off. Seriously, you know, only run when chased. That's my motto. Only run when chased. Because I don't do it. It's not an area of expertise for me. It's not something that makes my heart sing. You know, and you'll all have things that make your heart sing. With some people, it will be actual singing. With some people, it'll be cooking. With some people, it'll be healing. With some people, it'll be looking after children. With some people, it will be creating, whatever that is, writing songs or poems or music. With some people, it'll be working with figures. With some people, it will be helping and advising and counseling others. You know, everybody's got areas of expertise. And as a general rule, you've got that area of expertise because it's something your soul is closely attached to. So look to be healing in those areas in which you have expertise, okay? Because that is the area in where you will shine and you will excel and you will do well and you will make sense of it. And that's what I'm wanting you to do. Okay, so try and work with what you've got first, and that'll develop into something else. You know, it may not be Reiki you're interested. It might be EFT tapping or something like that. And if that's the case, go to do that. You might be into Tesla coils, so go learn about that. Look it up on the internet, find someone local who can help you out. or online or whatever you need. And then you'll find either you'll use that as the dropping off point. That's where you'll exit, because that'll be your area of expertise, or you'll use that and you'll move on to something else and just start collecting strings to your bow, basically. But no learning is ever wasted. And the more you can do, the easier it is. I've got a lot of friends that are trained in obviously multiple healing modalities. I've got a friend that does Bell Pass Vista, EFT tapping, Reiki, angelic Reiki, pretty much everything. And it just makes you so much stronger. It just opens up your connections. It makes you more powerful in these fields of healing and reading and trancing, or whatever it is you want to go into. So as I said, nothing's ever wasted, and you'll find that it'll come back to you tenfold somewhere along the line. So I hope that's given you all a good rundown on what's involved with Reiki and what happens. We've done some talking this morning about the cards that were coming up. We had the Be Flexible, which is about learning to listen to signs from spirit, and the Ask Your Spirit Helpers, which is about asking for them from the sign. We've done a lot of talking, about an hour's worth, on Reiki, what's involved, what's expected, what you can do. And then we've moved on to a wee bit of sound healing. Just by the by, ignoring my voice, people, how was that singing when it came through the mic? What was the quality of the sound like? Because that's something I'd be interested in knowing, because we might do some things with that later if it came through okay. If it was all distorted and yucky, then that would be out of the question for working that way with sound. But yeah, if anyone can tell me if there were any issues with the sound during that whole 30 seconds or whatever it was I was singing, sounded really clear, sweet, thanks. Okay, so that means this is something we could do some work on through the radio or through Skype or through whatever. So handy to know. Thanks for the feedback. And yeah, that is my, I guess, special area of expertise is sound. So many ways of sound healing. Clapping will raise the vibration, humming and singing will raise the vibration, using tincture, using crystal balls or copper or brass bowls, or bells. You know, our class today, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, development circle last night, we did healing, intuitive healing, and Reiki healing, so people could see the difference. And we did group healing, and oh my God, did we have some people floating off the table. And there were tears, and there was information, and there was all sorts of things. Today, we're actually getting crafty, and we're going to make our own spirit sticks, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago, making some of your own stuff. And mine's going to have bells on it. Why? Because I'm a sound healer. So I'll be putting bells on my spirit stick to make sure it can make some noise, because that's what works for me. If you're into colors, then put multiple colored ribbons on it. If you're into keeping things precise and particular, then you'll put the chakra colors from the bottom to the top. You know, you can do whatever you want with these things, just make them work for you. So that's another form of healing. Some people use crystal healing wands, but you can use a wooden healing stick. You know, anything from nature will help you do the job. So go ahead and get it done. So anybody got any questions on any of that? I know that was a very quick recap, but I want to make sure we are well and truly covered. We're all covered. We're happy with all that information. Sweet. All right, just quickly, we talk about colors. I do have it on my Facebook page, and I won't go through all of it because we've been through something similar before when we were talking about what we're not picking up in the way of colors and messages. So just bear with me a moment, and I'll find what I need to find for you. And okay, now I'm looking for it and I've lost it. That happens. Just bear with me, people. Okay, on my Sounds Like Spirit group on Facebook, I put a wee piece. This is to do with the sound healing. I put a wee piece up on Monday, the Sounds Like Spirit Day, and it's called When You Have Music in Your Feet. Okay, I've got, I love to watch this. It resonates to a Celtic pull somewhere deep within my soul, and past life readings have proved this to be so. A little bit of dancing never hurt anyone, but I wouldn't suggest trying this particular style at home if you're new to it. However, a bit of foot tapping wouldn't go amiss. I'm exhausted just watching. Think I'll head to KFC for a pick-me-up after that. But what I've done is I put a clip of the Irish dancers in Claddagh, County Galway. And so if you're into sound healing, they obviously use their feet to produce sound or drum-like sound. So if you get a chance, pop in and have a listen to that, because it's worth it from a sound healing point of view, just to have a look at something else. What I wanted to talk to you about was on the 23rd of March under Tools of the Trade, I put up a post called Signs and Feathers. And most of you know this, so it's just a quick recap to end the show with. But angels don't need wings to fly, but they are aware that they've been depicted often throughout art and stories, etc., as having them, representing to us their ability to be everywhere in a hurry. Feathers as a general sign let you know that you're not alone and that you have the unconditional love of your angels. And remember, and a reminder of the infinite inspiration available when you're tuned into love. Okay, pink feathers are a reminder to let go of the stresses in your life. A white feather with an orange surround means you're being protected. And white colors can be representative. And while colors can be representative, so can the images. If a feather is long and it looks like a quill, the message is to get writing. If it turns up when you're indecisive or not sure what to do, it's a sign you're on the right track. I get told all the time, I don't see any signs. And I'm like, ugh, seriously, open your eyes, people. More often than not, we're getting them and just missing them. So whenever you observe a feather, take note of the following. What were you thinking just before it happened? What's going on in your life at the moment or at that moment in time? How did it make you feel when you found it? What were your first thoughts or feelings or impression? What could it be telling you in the ways of signs? If it looks like a quill, get writing or studying or learning. If it appears when you're troubled, it's there to ease and calm. If it appears at unexpected times and places, they're letting you know you're not alone. And if it appears when you're indecisive, they're telling you you're doing the right thing. If you have to walk over it, it's letting you know you are literally heading in the right direction. So I've got a rundown on the explanations of the color meanings, and it's not a full list, but it's reasonably comprehensive. So it's a rundown of the possible color meanings of feathers. Trust your own heart and use this as a guide. So, for example, white feathers belong to the crown chakra. They represent heaven, the angels, the celestial realms, higher dimensions, opening up to the white divine light, the white ray. They're a crystalline, Christ-conscious spirituality, enlightenment, a glimpse or moment of awakening, purity, innocence, purification, cleansing, hope, trust, faith, protection, peace, blessings, wisdom, and connected to the moon. Okay, so there's white for you. So I've run through, and I'm not going to read them all out now because it would bore you witless, but you've got things that you could look at. Brown feather, for example, represents the earth, so it's about grounding, balancing between the physical and spiritual world, stability, endurance, home life, friendship, respect. Grey is about peace and neutrality. It's the middle of black and white. So find peace within yourself to create it without. It represents, an even keel. So the answer is not black and white, but grey, neither yes nor no, perhaps in the middle or a combination of both. So they're talking about compromising there. Wisdom and the attainment of mastery. Being on the right track, being authentic, being flexible. Black feathers are about protection. Sometimes they're about warning. They are about usually family members in spirit, show up as black feathers. They're about death or the end of something, the beginning of something new, increased mystical wisdom, spiritual initiation and growth, magic. When they're shiny or iridescent, it represents high mystical insight. So I've got standing strong and setting boundaries while remaining aware. So I've got a whole heap in there. I've also got some stuff in there about color combinations. Okay, what happens if you've got a black, white, and blue feather? It denotes changes on the horizon. A black and brown striped one is balance between physical and spiritual. People say to me, they don't come in those colors. Yes, they do. Animals in nature have very, very varied colors. I mean, even a single bird or a duck or anything like that might have completely different colors under its top layer than it does on the top. A lot of birds look really, really boring on the top, and then they spread their wings for mating rituals, and they've got incandescent, fluorescent feathers under that. And it doesn't even have to be made in nature. If you come across a pink fluoro feather that's not natural, that's not from a Native American bird or something, then the message is still the same. It doesn't matter how it comes through to you. And Tracy's put the link in there. Thank you, my darling. She's put the picture in there, but if you go to the link, there's a whole ton of information on what these colors mean. Huge breakdown. That picture was just a picture I grabbed offline to illustrate coloured feathers, and there are some explanations on there, but there's a lot more in-depth stuff on the post online. Thanks for popping that into the chat room, Tracy. You're awesome. So just be aware that when the feathers are around, there's the basic message is, yay, I'm supported. Yay, I'm not alone. That's great. You might want to get some academic learning in there and get a bit more information about exactly what it's telling you. Where is it located? What does that mean? What is the color? What does that mean? What was going on in your life at the time? What does that mean? They can give you far more information than you're getting on a daily basis just by looking into it. Has anybody got any questions? I know I've talked at you solid for 2 hours, as I do every week, and I try and get as involved as I can in the chat room, but sometimes I'm a bit busy talking and reading off things or following a train of thought to get involved. I know we've covered a lot today, and as we always do, and it's been fantastic having you all here in the chat room. I might do a quick one card answer pull in a minute, but first, some blatant self-promotion. For those of you who have been listening in and don't know where you're at, you're listening live on SOCRadio to me, Kim Mehlhopt, Sounds Like Spirit, on the Sound Advice for Spiritual Souls show. This is every Wednesday, 10 a.m. till noon, New Zealand time. I don't know what that translates to for you. I know you're all listening from all over the world. I thank the 1,000 or so odd listeners that listen in every week to the show. And Tracy just popped the link for the feathers in the chat room. That's awesome. You can get hold of me online, Kim Mehlhopt. That's Mehlhopt. If that's too tricky for you, just look up Sounds Like Spirit on Facebook. I have a group and a page. The group runs over all sorts of things. Like Monday, for example, we talk about Sounds Like Spirit. So we talk about things that happen musically or via sound in your world, what they mean, use them to cheer you up or bring you out of a funk. Or we might talk about next week, perhaps I'll put up notes of the chakras or something like that to give you all an idea of what we've been talking about today. Tuesday, we talk of tools of the trade. So we talk about everything from crystals and in-depth meanings of some of them to how to use tarot cards to making spirit sticks, whatever comes up in the way of a psychical magical tool that you can use. Wednesday, we talk about heal yourself. It could be spiritual, like some sort of spiritual development, or it could be physical, like getting into juicing or things like that. My producer's been expounding the benefits of juicing, so I might have to look into this. Wednesday. Thursday is a free reading day. If you've got a burning question, you can put that in between New Zealand times only, 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. So if you post outside of those times, it'll be deleted. I'm just trying to keep it manageable. Obviously, there's 1,000 odd people on that site and only one of me, and I have a couple of friends help out, but we've got to keep it manageable. So you must ask a specific question, and you must post between the hours of 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. New Zealand time. Friday, we talk about valuing yourself, and this could be how to treat yourself, or it could be how others are treating you and how to deal with it. Saturday's quiet time, Sunday's soul food. So we talk about a different topic every day there. I pop a post up. I haven't yet popped up Tuesdays. Sometimes I'm a wee bit like a day late. Okay, they're talking in the chat room. Somebody's just missed me. That's right. Don't panic. You can get this on ENCORE if you're really excited about anything we were talking about in here today. Otherwise, you can catch me back here next week on Wednesday. I also have the Sounds Like Spirit page on Facebook, and the page is more for business type activities. So I mentioned any of the local expos that I'm going to be at. I do free seminars at all of those. I might start selling a few things on there if anybody's interested. Card packs, crystals, those sorts of things, runes. Every week I do an intuitive free angel answer on Sundays. So I draw 3 cards on Sunday, and on Monday I draw them. All you need to do is use your intuition. Focus on whatever your burning question is that you have. Choose card 1, 2, or 3 and put it in the comments. Put your card number in the comments, and when I draw them the following day, you've got your answer. So it's a small sample of using your intuition to get answers. If you're not really keen yet to ask for signs or pick up on the signs that are around you, you can start doing intuitive readings for yourself, and you can use those Sunday angel answer cards on that site. I'm just going to do a quick draw now, just for fun. We've only got a couple of minutes, but I will get it done. So what I want you to do, please, is if you've all got a question that needs answered right now, can you focus on that? I've protected the cards. I've asked for the highest good of all. I've called in protection and help. And I'm just drawing 3 cards now. So I'd like you to focus, please, on your question and decide if you are drawn to card 1, card 2, or card 3. Card 1, card 2, or card 3. Okay, whichever one you feel your heart pull at, or whichever one moves you. If anybody chose card 1, your answer is ask your angels. We've been talking about asking for signs and communicating today. So, guess you're getting a butt kicking on this one, people. Ask your angels. Your angels are always with you. However, you must ask for their assistance in order for them to provide you with the help you're seeking, because heaven respects your free will choices. State your question to your angels clearly. You can do so out loud or silently in your head or your own mind. Your angels will instantly help you according to God's will. Your angels may also have special messages for you about the situation you're asking about. Sit quietly in a peaceful place, indoors or out in nature, and ask for advice and guidance. Notice what messages comes to you. It's possible the answers will come to you through your feelings, your hearing, or your sight, or perhaps you'll just know the answer. You can also ask the angels for signs during the day to guide you onto the right path. So if you've heard today for the first time about asking for signs, you've just got a butt kicking. Can you please start doing that? All right. Anybody had question 2? The answer here is improving health. The angels want you to know that the health of the person you asked about, be that you or someone else, is going to improve. You can request the assistance of Archangel Raphael and your guardian angels to speed along the recovery. This card may also be urging you to take more healthful choices in your life. If you're feeling called to detox from harmful foods or substances, you should follow that guidance. Remove unhealthy practices from your life, and it will make you feel vibrant and strong. Those who chose 3 today in your angel answers, the answer is meditation brings answers. Trying to come up with an intellectual answer to your concerns has not been successful. That's because the solutions you seek can only be found by going within through meditation or inner spiritual work. You may also gather insights from your nighttime dreams as your subconscious creates solutions for you that are not available readily to your waking mind. Okay, so those who chose 1 to answer their question, ask your angels. Those who chose 2, which is asking, 1 is asking for signs, obviously, which we covered earlier in the show today. 2 is improving health. You're even getting a hand with healing someone you're working on, or you're being asked to change your healthful and eating practices. Card 3 was meditations brings answers. They're telling you to shut up for 5 minutes and listen. They're telling you they're trying to connect with you all the time, but they can't get through. So please, can you meditate on your question and then shut your mind down for 5 or 10 minutes? 20 if you can, but 10's great. And remember, your answers may not come directly through your meditation. They may come in the form of a colored feather or a note or something during the next few days. So please be aware and keep your eyes and ears open for those sorts of things. Thank you so much to the lovely Evergreen, Tracy, Tickle. We've had Colleen, we've had Janet, we've had people popping in and out of the chat room all day. That is the end of the show for today. We have hit 12 noon New Zealand time. So that's it. Thank you so much for your company here today. Remember, you can get hold of me if you need me. My name is Kim Mehlhopt. I work online under Sounds Like Spirit. I'm a psychic medium and a healer. I can work via face-to-face or via distance in any of those modalities. So if you need me, you know where to find me. If you don't need me, I'll catch you back here next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thanks for your company.
You have been listening to Kim Mehlhopt and Sounds Like Spirit. See you next time. Thanks for joining SOCRadio.